What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John. Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid. And the whole world is a urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Hello! Again.
Hi.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
Sorry, say it
You
again.
have COVID?
Say it again.
Get out! You're not supposed to be here anyway.
My son has it. When?
Hey,
Last week.
hey,
Oh.
what is it when the cards go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? What's that called?
It's called a straight.
Okay, you're allowed to be here then. I'm John,
I'm Lindsay. I'm M.
and we are reviewing Lindsay's pick, Hereditary. You watched Christine, right?
I did?
Did you like it?
Did I like it? Oh, shoot. Did I like it? Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'd say more favorable than not.
Are you gonna do a Fright Bites on it?
Am I?
Are you?
Am I? Maybe. I don't.
I don't really want to watch it again to review it. I watch it about once every 10 years.
It was one of those classic kind of like everybody's seen it kind of movies that, you know, I never.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Very 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Very. It was pretty. From what I
Stephen King
remember.
and John Carpenter.
Oh right, Stephen King. But did he mention
No dogs, no blood.
no women bleeding and
No.
dogs? Men like dogs.
Nope.
Something
It's
a little different.
It's a little. I expect that from my King.
Yeah, fail. And you've been working, so I haven't watched anything, but they are remaking or making a new Hellraiser that's closer to the book, The Hellbound Heart. And Pinhead is going to be played by a woman,
Oh, that'll
which
be
of course people are like, brr. But guess what? In the book, Pinhead was a woman, so suck it.
Oh really?
That's right. So
Well, then it's about time they did that.
that is correct. So, although there's so many bad ones in that series, after part 4 they went straight to video and there are currently like 11 of them. So, all of the ones after part 4 were other movies, and then they were like, let's just jam Pinhead in somewhere. All of them. I hope this is good. It's going to be on Hulu.
Oh, there is something I want to see. I just heard about it on the way over, actually.
What is it?
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, what's
No,
that?
I know what you mean. I saw an ad for it. I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
I didn't see a preview or anything. I just heard that it was coming out, and that as soon as Winnie the Pooh became public domain, like these people had been waiting to make a movie. So
Yeah, what I saw was a woman tied up in her underwear. And I'm like, that's not Winnie the Pooh. What the hell is that?
Huh.
And then, what was the one I sent you? A trailer. It was
She's watching a kid, and it's what the name of the movie is.
Nanny.
Nanny? Okay.
Yeah, it's called Nanny, and I think it's in theaters.
That looked creepy as hell. But it's not as creepy as this movie. Spoilers.
There
Here,
aren't
read
many
this.
things that are.
No.
Okay, when Ellen, the matriarch of the Graham family, passes away, her daughter's family begins to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry. The more they discover, the more they find themselves trying to outrun the sinister fate they have seemed to have inherited.
So, you remember seeing the previews for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It made it seem like Charlie was going to be, like, the main character.
Yeah.
And I guess when it was released, critics thought it was crazy good, but it was getting like D's
I think
and
that's
like
crazy.
60% from people who watched
Like, I
it.
can't imagine anybody watching this movie and thinking, this is like a D movie. Like, how?
Well, I remember, I'll have to plug it, but I remember Red Letter Media reviewing it and talking about how people, they didn't want to have to actually like feel things during a horror movie,
Okay.
and they did this long thing.
You foiled us once again, football team! And then you cut to the graduation ceremony, the pomp and circumstance, and da-na-na. I know I survived a satanic cult and made class valedictorian, but I'm going to college!
So we did get a comment about this movie from Michelle. She says, Hereditary messed me up, and scary movies don't scare me. I watched it once, I couldn't watch it again. Now, I was postpartum when I watched it, so that might have something to do with it. You know, hormones and all, plus a newborn. But I'm not risking watching it again.
Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't
It
really.
is terrifying.
I did not. I was As good of a movie as it is, I kind of didn't want to watch it again. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous.
I did want to watch it again, but I was like, okay, I need to prepare myself for this because I knew it's probably the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I agree.
Interesting.
It gave me nightmares last night. At least I think, maybe. I told you about the nightmares that I had. I think they're because I watched Hereditary.
I didn't really follow.
Like, I saw it a long time ago, and it still haunts me. Like, sometimes, like, when I'm walking around my house in the middle of the night, I'll, like, picture the mother, like, up in a corner. Like, and it kind of freaks me out.
This is really interesting, because I did love it, but I wasn't horribly scared by it.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's not the kind of movie that will give me nightmares. Now, I will think about it. You know what I mean? Like, just like I thought about it after I watched it the first time. I thought about it this time. Today I was thinking about it, kind of like coming up with different theories and thinking about maybe different things that happened. But like, while watching it, I'm not like, oh my god, I'm so scared. Yeah. Like, I can't, like, which is so weird.
I feel like it's
I feel
really
like
a
I'm
movie.
the complete opposite of most horror people.
Yeah, you are. It's definitely a movie that sticks with you, though. I feel like no matter what.
I agree with that.
Yeah, all I remembered was the screaming when she finds out her kid's dead, and it just it's never left my head.
See,
yeah,
I didn't remember that the first time we watched it, and I actually cried this time.
Yeah. It made me want to leave the theater. We saw it together, and it made me want to leave the theater.
It's so intense.
Toni Collette is out of control good in this.
Oh my gosh,
Did she win any awards for this?
She won some, but I mean, there were no like Oscar nominations or anything, which there should. I don't understand why they're so anti-horror. Like,
if you like Toni Collette in this, you would probably like United States of Terra. I don't know
I
if
haven't
you've
seen
ever
that.
seen it.
No.
She's like has multiple personality disorder, and the way she like turns into different people is she's fucking incredible.
Basically does that
so
here.
good.
Yeah, she's basically going in and out of different personalities in this.
And she can do so many types of movies too. Like, I remember Little Miss Sunshine very well. Like her in that. That was totally different kind of movie.
And it's funny because her first movie was Muriel's Wedding, which was like she was like this frumpy outsider kind of character. So it's so weird compared to like what you know her for now.
Yeah.
You know.
I think for The Sixth Sense, wasn't she nominated for that one?
She was, yes.
So that's good.
I know her from the Fright Night remake.
Okay, I watched that for the podcast, but then we
Sorry
didn't.
about that. She was awesome in that, but she didn't really have a lot to do. In this movie, they put a lot on her shoulders, and she fucking kills it.
And she's Australian, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What is it about Australia that pumps out these?
Yeah, there's some
Nicole
really good
Kidman,
ones. Yeah.
friggin' Kate Blanchett's English.
What's her name? Naomi Watts.
They just have some amazing actors. I don't know why.
Yeah, they do. And they do fantastic accents too. Like, you'd never hear her and think she wasn't American.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't know until I watched an interview with her, and I'm like, so Ellen, the grandmother, is dead. The first thing that we see is a cutout from the paper, right? And the problem I was having here is I was writing down every detail for a while, and then I stopped about a half hour in. But the details I was writing down were things like, she died in her daughter's house. And if I remember this movie correctly, her daughter doesn't like her. It turns out she kind of forcefully moved in.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, okay, I kind of missed that. I mean, you definitely get the idea they had a bad relationship.
She spent her entire life trying to get that demon into a guy. That's basically what she was doing. So we zoom into one of these model houses, right?
That
was a
shot
cool
is
shot.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So they built the set so they could pull out walls, right? So that's why they were able to do that. But I wrote down, like, if we're zooming into this house, who built this house? And I'm like, they're not in control of anything they're going to do in this movie. That's the point. They're just...
Right, exactly. I think that's what it was symbolizing there.
Yeah. I think that she's building all of these little houses to try and gain control, but she doesn't have it.
Right, yeah.
So...
There's actually one of the classroom scenes, one of the discussions is about whether or not somebody has control over their fate and that kind of thing.
Oh man, I have that written down too. But Gabriel Byrne is in this, and he's subdued, but he's awesome because his job is just to be normal and not be crazy like every other person in this house. Now, some of them, like the Peter has a reason to be
Yeah,
crazy.
it's not like he's really crazy.
He's had a
He's
shit
just-
life.
Yeah.
And he's more trying to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, I don't know what Gabriel Byrne's character's name is.
Steven.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
Steve, he's being normal and trying to keep everything together.
Well, why has Peter had a shit life though? With
His
the-
mother tried to burn him alive.
Oh yeah, that's.
She covered him in paint thinner.
Yeah.
And,
There's
but
so
she was
many-
sleepwalking.
There's so
They
many
say it
theories
fast.
about this stuff though. Yeah.
I think, I think she tried to burn him alive because she was trying to keep the grandmother from getting
That's
her.
one of the
Right,
theories.
yeah.
Is that, yeah.
And it wasn't just him, it was Charlie too, right? And all three of them were covered in paint thinner. And, I mean, she would have killed herself too then.
Yeah.
If
But she
had
was
the
also
match.
sleepwalking when she did it.
Exactly.
Which-
But I mean, it might have been subconscious though.
Right,
like-
right. Peter's happy that the grandmother's dead, but the other ones, they're struggling with how they're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Charlie is struggling the
seems
most.
Charlie's really upset.
She's the closest to the grandmother for a reason.
I think Charlie is possessed from the get-go.
I think so too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily possessed, but I feel like she was under the grandmother, like because Annie said that she wouldn't let the grandmother near Peter,
Right.
but then she was around for Charlie, and even like
Around?
yeah, I know.
Very involved.
I think she used the words "I gave her I gave
Yeah,
her
I
my
gave
daughter."
her.
Mhm.
So all the pictures with Charlie, like actually one of the little like Easter eggs, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever Annie's having tea at Joan's house, and she has a little bit of that
herb
or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can barely catch it, but
She pulls something out of her mouth.
Yeah.
it's like part of it's the herbal tea that Joan gave her, and when there's a picture of the grandmother feeding Charlie, and there is stuff in the baby bottle, and it's that tea.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There's like green stuff in the baby bottle. So like the grandmother, I feel like, was just grooming her
Mm-hmm.
from birth, Charlie.
And she even knew that her grandma wanted her to be a boy.
Mm-hmm.
She said that.
I think I'm getting way ahead of myself, but that's okay. I think the grandmother gave Charlie the peanut allergy. I think this entire thing was planned from the get-go. All of
Yeah.
it. And I think that clicking noise is not a nervous tick.
It's payment.
It's payment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The telephone pole that she hit
It had the symbol on it.
it.
And that is the only road that goes from where he went to party back to hospital, town, whatever. So they knew to put that deer carcass in that road near the telephone pole in the hopes that he would swerve.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think they had any control over anything. Like, this
Nothing.
stuff was just going to happen
Mhm.
because of what the grandmother had put in place.
Like, for instance, the mother knows that, or has suspicions there's going to be booze at this party. Why is she
Yeah.
sending her daughter there?
Like, why would you make your 13-year-old daughter go
Right.
with, like, your older teenage boy to a party when she doesn't even want to go?
Right.
Because she had no choice.
Yeah.
But do you think that's like a subconscious thing? Like she needs to go to this party. Like she didn't know why, but she was just like
Yeah.
she needs to
I
go
mean,
to this
she
party.
acted like, oh, it'll be good for you. You can socialize with other kids and everything. But maybe it was really, it was just something that had to happen. So, and even though Charlie was upset about the grandma dying, she didn't cry at all. And the mother talked about how she didn't cry as a baby at all. Even when she was born, she didn't cry. So, do you think Payman was in her like before she was even born? Perhaps, like the grandma might have already gotten her in there. I mean, gotten him in there.
I think it could be.
Because that's very unusual for a baby not to cry
Not
even
to
when
cry.
they're born.
That's, to me, that's a clue that it is payment in there.
Yeah.
So, I also think that, hang on. I think that the grandma was way more obvious than they are leading on. Like, she's talking at the funeral about how she didn't know anything about her grandma, but, like, she goes upstairs and in her boxes are literally spells.
Right.
Right there. They're not hidden.
And
They're
she
right there.
has the symbol of Payman right on her necklace there. Which, that's not the actual symbol. The symbol has 4 instead of 3 of those things.
Right.
But somebody had the theory that he did that for one thing, not to like offend people, that it's like a sacred symbol too, and for another thing, it makes it look like a 666 kind of with the 3.
Oh, that could be. They get home and Annie was in her little model room, turns off the light after reading a note from her mom, and sees a ghost. and it's creepy as shit.
Yeah.
And we're off. Everything's scary.
Did you see what the note said?
It said, "Don't worry, don't be mad at me, don't hate me. When this is all over, we'll have more treasures, and it'll be worth it."
Yeah, something about our sacrifices.
Yeah.
Forgive me all the things I could not tell you. Please don't hate me and try not to despair your losses. You will see in the end that they were worth it. Our sacrifice will pale next to the rewards.
Yeah, so it's like she was planning on sacrificing her whole family for this, basically. The grandmother.
I'm annoyed by that because they don't get any rewards out of this. They're all dead.
Well, she probably thinks the whole reward is just bringing payment into...
Oh, goody. Well, I mean, there's obviously an afterlife because this movie shows that there's ghosts and spirits and demons and shit, so I guess so. Yeah, it makes sense. So, Peter's in class. Oh, go ahead.
After when she saw the mom in the room, she had that little figure, that one figure with the breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah.
Which was
Her
very
mom,
odd.
I think, breastfed Charlie.
Yep, she did.
What?
That's why I
Like,
said
How would her mom be able to breastfeed Charlie?
she's a witch.
Yeah.
That's why I said,
Like,
when you said she was close, I'm like, close. Like, she's
Okay.
breastfeeding the
See,
kid.
I thought it was more like this was representing more of Annie had Charlie and the mom was trying to, like, you know.
I think when she decided not to give the grandmother Peter, they had to come up with a new plan. So the plan was get Payman into, I know he prefers a male body, but we'll put him in here.
For now.
We're going to decapitate everybody, and we're going to get him into Peter.
Okay.
So when I looked up stuff on Payman, there was a drawing of him carrying around 3 heads.
Right.
Which would be Charlie, the mom, and the grandma.
Yep.
That's the 3 heads. That's why at the end she had to cut her off her own head with a freaking wire. So,
Right.
dude, this is all, like...
And there's foreshadowing there, too, with, like, the bird, where Charlie takes the bird.
Charlie cuts the bird head off and puts it on a little toy statue because it's Payman, and he's making a little statue with the decapitated head. What if Peter swerved left instead of right with the deer carcass?
They would have figured something
That
out.
wasn't going to happen. Like, they...
You think this was all predetermined?
Yes.
This was
Yeah.
all, there was no...
I think they had no chance.
Oh, the mom
For
is
one thing,
making
I was-
her go to the party.
Gonna show you. I don't know if you even knew that's the actual symbol of payment. Okay.
They all
With 4
face
instead of
west
3.
because Lucifer sent Payman to the west of the human world.
Wow.
I learned a lot about Payman yesterday. So,
It's very interesting.
he's a king of hell. One of
Yes,
the kings.
one
There's
of the
more.
most obedient to Lucifer.
Yeah, he's a big suck up. He's also a trickster. So
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
saw
why he
somewhere-
sets. I think that's why he sets the dad on fire. Because he knows the mom thinks that she's gonna catch on fire. He's like, nope.
I wondered about that.
I don't know where I saw somewhere that King Payman was called the God of Mischief, because I didn't see that anywhere else. Like, I looked it up again and I couldn't find that. So I don't know if that's real or not.
I saw it somewhere, but it might have
I
been
don't
just
remember
about this
where I
movie.
saw
I
it.
don't know.
But it's interesting because, like, reading about Payman, he doesn't really sound all that bad because he teaches all arts, philosophy, sciences, and secret things. He can reveal all mysteries of the earth, wind, and water, what the mind is, and everything the conjurer wants to know, giving good familiars, dignities, and confirms them, binds men to the conjurer's will. The last part's a little, but I don't
Yeah,
know. Like, he doesn't sound all bad, though. It's like he wants to
Right.
give knowledge, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
It does sound like something God would be like, hey, fuck you. You need to know nothing.
People that are educated. I don't like them.
Yeah. So, in school, Peter's teacher is talking about some play. I didn't write down which one it was. But the girl that Peter has a crush on says he refuses to look at the signs being handed to him the entire play. And that's how I feel this movie
Yes,
is.
definitely.
There's so much there, and they're just like, what's happening?
Right.
Ugh. And they're pawns in a horrible, hopeless machine.
And that's what they are.
Yep.
Yeah, I do wonder when you brought up about the mom, like, or Annie, how much did she know? Or did she just ignore it? You know
I feel
what
like
I
she
mean?
ignored a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, even just like when she went to, what was that, Joan's house, and she saw the doormat there, like, she had to know. Like, that is exactly like her mother made.
Right,
Like,
they're
it's not a
very unique.
coincidence that...
Yeah.
But I guess maybe the cult counted on her ignoring them.
Right.
That's all I just think of.
Even
And
just
she knew,
growing up with her mom.
Right,
like,
yeah. She talked about her mom being really secretive.
Right, and obviously it was an abusive type relationship or whatever, but like she would have seen, like, there was a triangle painted on her mom's bedroom floor.
Yeah.
Like the books and stuff. Like she would have known
You would think
something
so.
growing up raised by that woman.
Maybe it was too scary to acknowledge, like, to herself even.
Maybe.
I don't know. And then with everyone in her family having psychological problems, like, her dad was, like, psychotic depressive and starved himself to death. And then
But the brother
was supposed to be schizophrenic.
He was not schizophrenic.
Nope. Yeah, he hanged himself in the mother's room. Well, grandmother
And said,
his
you
mother.
tried to put people inside of me.
Exactly.
She says it offhandedly, real quick.
Yeah,
and
because
I don't
she thinks
remember
it's
it until,
just like
yeah.
fake. She thinks, oh, he was just schizophrenic and he's just blaming mom. But no, she really was putting people inside him.
So there's a scene that takes about 10 seconds where the two of them lie to each other back to back.
Yes, I kept writing, why lie?
Yeah.
Why lie?
The
Stephen and Andy.
Yeah, the cemetery calls, Stephen picks up, finds out the corpse has been desecrated.
Yeah.
And she's like, what was that? Some billing crap. Next sentence. I'm going to the movies.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were both lying to each other. I think he didn't want to put more on her than was already.
Probably.
Like, she was going through a lot, and he thought, okay, this is just going to add to her stress.
Her going to the support group, she said in the support group she had been forced to go before.
Right. When her brother died, I
When
think.
her brother, okay, so her parents forced her to go. Because her dad died too,
or her
so
mom.
like, I mean,
She said it helped then, but she didn't really think it
I
was
would
going to.
think she would know that her husband would be happy she would be going to a support group.
You would think.
But
Man.
I don't know why
do
she
they
would
just
feel
not
the need
know
to
each
keep
other?
that
It's like they
from-
don't know each other.
They all stay in separate rooms all the time.
Yep.
Like, they're never around each other, and when they are, it's just awkward or angry.
Right.
One of the two. It's like they don't like each other. So, but they're all here for one reason. That's why. They're here for a reason. They're not here to be a family or anything like that. That's why Steven sticks out so much, because he's not really part of this whole thing. He just kind of got sucked into it.
Yeah.
So, this is when I stopped taking notes.
Okay, so this is when they go to the party, pretty much. Well, Charlie sees she goes outside and sees the grandmother in the field with
Right,
fire
yeah.
around her and stuff, and Annie's unreasonably angry at her for being outside.
Yeah, without her shoes.
She looks possessed as shit when she's
Yeah,
walking towards that
definitely.
thing. That's when I was like, she's possessed already. She's carrying that bird head around, making dolls with it and shit.
Yeah.
So now they're gonna ship her off to this party to go get her head knocked off.
Right, and the mom is working on. It seems like instead of doing her work, that's when she starts to switch to like.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing miniatures of like the hospital room and and then eventually the accident. But I feel like at some point she is just not doing her work at all, like the work she's supposed to be doing.
She's very good at what she does, but she's not doing what she's paid to do. So.
And when that paint falls over, like, she thinks that she bumped it, but really she didn't touch it. It fell over by itself.
To get her attention on
Yes,
that note.
Yeah.
and actually I saw in a review today, right before the paint falls over, back on the window there's that little light.
That's payment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that there.
I didn't notice it either until I actually watched, like, they reran it and then like circled where you
Okay,
see it in the
yeah.
background. There are so many little things that you
Payment's
can
all
miss.
over the place in this movie. So, who makes a freshly baked cake for a teenage house party?
Yeah, I know.
And even aggressively chops that amount of nuts.
So many nuts!
That's a lot of nuts!
You would really think, though, like, with her having such a bad nut allergy, they would have had her, like, trained to be more careful.
Have
about
the EpiPen everywhere.
because
And if she's that allergic, she would not be eating any chocolate bars at all,
Right,
because
yeah.
all of them are made in factories where there are also nuts. So, like, if you have a severe allergy like that,
you can't.
you can't eat any of that stuff.
No, she had no choice.
Right.
I know. That's kind of a cop-out a little bit there. When things are like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, no, there's no choice. So...
I don't like that, though.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either, but it's what it is. It is what it is. They set it up so that they would go to this party, choke on some nuts, swerve, stick the head out the window, and get the head knocked off.
I mean, it does kind of make it even extra creepy though, knowing that no matter what they do, it just doesn't matter. Like it's their destiny because that's what they made happen.
They're just lambs to the slaughter, man.
Yeah.
So that's the scene that bothered you the most, right? Was the
Yeah, I wanted to leave. Like, from the second that, like, her head comes off until, I don't even know, it's a long time. It's like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, Peter, his acting is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, I don't even want to, I'm just going to, fuck
he's
this.
in shock.
Yeah, to me, that's the most disturbing part is after her head goes off and he can't look back. He's just like so in shock. And he almost even starts to say, like, are you okay? But he doesn't fully say it.
I didn't want him to.
starts
I was watching it like, don't
and,
talk, don't say anything.
And then he just drives home and goes to bed and...
His parents are like, oh,
He
good,
didn't
they're
sleep
home.
at all, though.
Yeah.
Like, he lay there with his eyes open for the entire night.
Mm-hmm. And then the scream, and that's when that was...
It's just so heavy and intense, and it's like you feel what they're feeling with that.
It's almost worse just hearing it instead of actually seeing her react to it.
Right.
I think
because you watch him reacting to her reacting.
Right.
I mean, with his blank stare ahead, but...
And then he's got to stand outside of their bedroom and, like, hear all this pain that he's caused and just take it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man.
And then it cuts from his head in that position to the cut-off head of her covered in
my thought was
hands.
that was to hammer home that this is real and not a dream. Like yeah, this happened. Her head's gone, man.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it.
I was thinking about, so when she's in the bedroom and she's like on the floor and she's like, just kill me, like she's screaming, like I've experienced that where I've just been like so upset about something where I was like, just I don't even want to feel this, like just kill me, you know what I mean? Even though like that's in the moment, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's one of those things that it's like, okay, there's your life before that happened, and then there's your life after that happened. Like nothing is the same, everything changes, like and how they portrayed that with her reaction to everything was just
and Peter too,
insane.
because Peter's trying to just smoke weed and go on with his life, but he can't, and he starts repeating the last thing his sister said to him and shit.
Yeah, and he felt like his throat was closing up. He was having a reaction.
Do you think that was a payment thing?
I think he was
psychological.
I think he was just
that was
repeating
just
what she said. Yeah.
I think he was just so affected by what happened that that's how he dealt with it.
Do you think that was Charlie?
I don't think so. I think it was just him being really...
In order to finish this, they have to go through this ceremony that Joan tricks them into doing.
And also, Payman possesses whoever the weakest, most vulnerable person is, and they had to break him down kind of to make him more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. I kind of had the idea that some of the stuff that was happening to Peter was a little bit of like Charlie, maybe with the help of Payman, kind of like, I don't know, just getting at him. You know what I mean? At Peter.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Payman more than Charlie. Charlie, I feel like she was possessed from the beginning, you know? So it was really more Payman, and she never was able to fully be herself.
Right. There's not much of a Charlie to be.
Yeah.
To even. So when he's hearing those clicks and shit, that's Payman.
Right.
Like, just trying, like you said, to break him down and just make him completely...
lose his mind.
Yeah. So,
you
guys
it was
are
creepy when he was in school and he like looked over and saw his reflection, and his reflection was smiling
That was
and he
creepy.
wasn't.
Okay, so what was it? I mean, I'm skipping ahead here some, but like when he was in school and his face was all contorted and he would like hit his face off the desk and stuff, like, was that Payman?
Yeah, they were trying to really get him broken down there and more vulnerable. So, yeah.
And that woman yelling at him from across the street to get out of his own body.
She was trying to, how did they phrase it? She was trying to, it was all so that Payman could go into his body. So she was trying to
get
do
him
some
out
kind
of
of
his
a
own
spell
body,
to like get his soul out to make room or something.
And also, do you think, was she even there across the street? Because nobody else saw her or heard her. It didn't seem like they would have noticed somebody yelling this crazy stuff. Was she just like projecting herself to be there, you know, like astral
he was
projection
hallucinating
kind of stuff?
it, or he was... Oh, right. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, she's screaming super loud. He can hear her from across the street. Nobody's looking.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Maybe that's when they're getting in his head.
Yeah. Or getting him more vulnerable and getting him out of his head so that they can get in there.
God, there's so much stuff in this.
I know. You guys are going to have to lead with the timeline, though, because I did not write that down.
Hold on, where were we?
Well,
I
the funeral happened.
Charlie, after the funeral, and Peter goes to bed, and then Annie has to sleep in the tree house. She can't sleep anywhere else.
Right, because that's where Charlie used to go sleep all the time at night.
And then the thing with Peter's throat closing when he's smoking pot. Back at the group again. Let me think here.
Yeah, she goes back to the group, but then she decides she doesn't want to go in, and Joni comes up running to her car to be like, hey.
Right.
She mentions that her son died.
Yeah.
But she never had a son.
No,
son
And her grandson. Or were they trying to get them to be...
I mean, it's possible they tried to put it into them.
Get Heyman into her son or
She didn't
grandson.
have a son. She was making all this up.
How do you know?
I know they mention it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember where.
I know it was mentioned somewhere there.
Really?
That she didn't even have. She was trying to put this into place, you know. So she was just making things up.
Interesting. Okay.
Because she had to convince Annie to do this seance thing, you know. So she had to make her think like, oh yeah, like I got to talk to my son and my grandson, even though not really.
They didn't even exist.
Right.
We forgot to mention that when Peter is done smoking, he rides his bike home, and his mom is sitting in the fucking car.
Oh yeah.
She just sits there and watches him while he
and he thinks about acknowledging her, but he's like, nah.
Do you think he saw her? Because I thought he was just preparing himself to go inside.
I think he knew she was there. I
don't think he knew she was there.
I don't really feel like he did either. I think he was just like
it doesn't
preparing to go inside, and then she's just like secretively sitting there, and then she pulls away as soon as he goes in.
Yeah, I feel like in addition to it being weird, she's sitting in the car. It's showing how he is like, I gotta go home now. You know what I mean? Like how it's kind of an like a outside perspective of what he's going through. Because there isn't a ton. You don't really get. Actually, I saw this one video that the screenplay actually developed his character a lot more.
Oh.
There was a lot more interaction between him and Toni Collette, and then like in the actual movie, it cut back. So it's interesting.
I think he's probably the most tragic character in the whole movie.
I agree.
Like he's got it rough, man.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him at all for what happened to his sister.
No.
So.
And just imagine the guilt that he feels, though, feeling like it is
Exactly.
his fault.
So Annie goes to her meeting, but doesn't want to really be there. So she's gonna leave. And that's when Joan's like, oh, wait, my son died. Oh, okay, cool, I guess. So Joan gives her phone number, which she uses later. But this just says Steve makes a pass at her, but Annie refuses. I don't remember that. I don't remember Steve ever.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
Anything to do with her.
Makes a pass at Annie?
Yeah, Annie comes home and was like, I'm at the movies and I'm going to bed. And I remember him saying, I'll go with you. And she's like, whatever.
I have no recollection of that.
I remember the scene, but I don't remember him.
I don't remember him hitting on her. I just remember him being like, I'll go with you. I thought that just meant I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, synopsis. Okay. That's the first time that Peter starts hearing the weird noises. He hears him in his room. Yeah. And then thinks he sees his dead sister, but it's his hoodie. So he's starting to see shit too.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting because it showed his sister there, and then she like moved her head down, and it fell off like a ball.
Oh, that's when her.
Is that was a ball?
I think that's later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that was fucking weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
What he does at the end, by the way, I would do the same thing. Just go out the fucking window. Fuck this. So Annie goes over to Joan's apartment and starts telling her everything, and then mentions that she woke up one night in the middle of the night covered in lighter fluid, and so
paint thinner.
Paint thinner, yeah. And had a lit match, which I'm really shocked it didn't catch them all on fire.
Right, yeah, but she woke up in time because he woke her up, right? Like her son did, Peter did,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like.
He was screaming.
Yeah.
And she's mad at Peter for not letting it go.
Yeah, I might not let that go either.
It's just like, I just can't do anything. He just won't let it go. Like,
I mean, all I did was try to kill him.
It's just a murder-suicide thing. No big deal.
So that's when Steve finds her making a little tiny model of daughter's head getting knocked off. And she's like, no, it's nothing. I'm just processing grief here. No, nothing to see here. And he's like, Jesus, fuck you. And leaves.
Yeah, because he was concerned with how Peter was going to handle it, seeing that. But she was like, no, it's not about him. This is just like a unbiased view of the accident.
Yeah, she was all offended that he was upset by it.
So he says, I cooked dinner. I don't give a fuck if you come downstairs, whatever. And they're all eating. And then they start fighting.
Oh, wait, one thing.
Okay.
When she told... After Joan showed that she was talking to her grandson, and she was like, you can do it too, you can do it too. Your whole family has to be in the house when you do it.
Mentioned specifically the son.
And that was...
But that's not yet.
But I remember, like, being like, wait a second, you didn't have to have your whole family in the house when you did it. You know what I mean? It's just a very obvious, like...
I mean, right away, you know,
I'm after
John's
your whole
full of
family.
shit here. And...
Oh, that is Ann Dowd, by the way. She's telling, like, a million other things. She's won a bunch of awards.
Yeah. Looked like a Kathy Bates ripoff.
I could see that.
Her voice is very distinctive.
Yeah.
I might not recognize her, but I always recognize her voice.
All of the acting was really good in this.
Oh, yeah, all the way around. This is when Annie blames Peter for Charlie's death. And then,
at dinner.
Yeah, and Peter's like, you sent her with me. It's kind
she
of
didn't
on you,
go.
too.
When he first is like, just let it out, and I'm like, don't tell Mom to let it out.
I'm sure the dad is just like, I gotta get out of here, man.
Yeah.
So, the next day, Annie's gonna start trying to work on her art again and goes to the art store, and that's when she runs into Joan, and Joan says, I talked to a medium, and I can talk to the dead, and you can too! And she's like, alright, fine, whatever. And goes to the apartment, and they get something to move a glass around, and she claims it's Louis, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably Payman.
Right.
Yeah. So that's when you're right. She tells her your whole family, and then she very specifically says, Peter, everybody. You know, like you need to have Peter there. So she goes home and starts having nightmares. Basically, she has a nightmare about ants. She has a nightmare where
about the paint thinner thing.
Right, but she's
all
talking
over
to her
again.
son, and her son is like, "Why are you afraid of me?" And then there's like fire.
Yeah, it's like a dream within a dream kind of thing. First
Yeah.
she goes in there and she sees her son covered in ants with like ants coming out of his mouth and everything. And then you think she woke up and he's like, Mom, what are you doing? And then he's talking to her, and that's also a dream.
And she says things like, I never wanted to be your mother.
Yeah.
Tried to have an abortion, didn't work. Tried to have a miscarriage, didn't work.
Yeah, she tried to do everything they told her not to do so that she wouldn't have him.
But that's what she was doing, that because she didn't want
Her mother
to have this son and fuck with him, I
Right.
think. And she does talk earlier about like not wanting her whole family to have the same kind of mental disorders that her family did, which isn't what happened.
No.
But she's trying to protect them. She's just doing it in a real shit way. So
Yeah, and I feel like subconsciously she knows what her mother was up to. Like, maybe not completely, but like...
maybe she didn't want to believe it or something.
Well, if she knew, like, her father died, her brother died, and she then purposefully did not want to have a baby, like,
Right.
she knew her mom was killing everybody or whatever she was doing to them.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? Stephen put a no contact rule in where they could not even go
Right,
near her,
yeah.
and
That the grandmother couldn't come to their house
right,
until and then she said
And
that
she moved
ended when
in.
she got pregnant.
yeah.
But, like, I don't know why she decided, well, you can't have my first son, but here, you can have my daughter now. Like, why? What made her decide, like, she would let her
Ooh,
mother...
That makes me wonder if she really knew pretty much everything and was like, it's a boy, so you can't have him. But a
I
girl...
didn't think about that, yeah. She thought that... I mean, because she doesn't seem like she really knew all the details of everything, though.
I don't know. I wonder if it's like just completely subconscious thing. Like
Yeah.
everything she does. I don't know.
Like, she instinctively maybe knew that, like, a son was what was needed for this thing, so, like, the daughter would be okay to let her mother have contact with.
If this cult has so much control over the actions of everybody, then how did they let her have a son, not give the son to the grandma, then have another kid, and then come up with an even more convoluted way of getting payment into the son?
Well, the only reason the grandmother wasn't around was because Stephen did
No
the
contact.
Yeah. So like
Set him
legally,
on fire.
Well, I mean, he
And
doesn't-
Payman can be in a girl, but he prefers a male
Yeah,
host.
Sexist.
Like, supposedly,
Yeah.
Payman, like, is male, like, he's referred to as male, but yet he had, like, a feminine, pretty face, I think.
Yep. He had a girl's face on a man's body. Yep.
Gosh, you guys are really up on your hell demons.
Well, only through research. I didn't know this before the movie.
I want to see a good Behemoth movie. That dude who's like this, I want one of those. Give me one! Come on, Hollywood! Alright, so now she wakes up and she's like, I'm gonna try this seance thing. And she wakes up Peter and Steven and is like, come down here and do this. And they're like, no. Actually, at first, Peter's like, alright, I guess, whatever, fine. Yeah.
Also, was this in the middle of the night? Like, I looked at the... Because didn't it look like there was light coming through the windows like it was daytime part of it?
I think they were like outside lights.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering that. Because, like, it seemed like it was morning time, but then I looked at the clock and it looked like it was 1:45 or something like that.
Plus, she had just woken up from a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, and was waking all of them up. And then she gets something to move the glass, but then, like, this flame pops up, and all of a sudden she's talking in Charlie's voice.
Yeah, like Charlie gets inside her.
Yeah, or Charlie's voice. It's, again, probably Payman, again. So, and also, I can't imagine that Charlie would be like, hey, where am I? Hello? Hey, everybody. No. She would be like, anybody see any dead birds laying around? Something like that, yeah.
I don't know, in that situation it seemed almost like it was really Charlie, because she was like, stop scaring me, like, Mom, like, she, I don't know, it seemed like it was Charlie, like, maybe it was a mixture between Charlie and Payman, I don't really know.
I don't know. Maybe they kind of like use Payman to be able to do things like,
Yeah.
you know, go into other people's bodies and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because even, like, at the very end, they call him Charlie at one point, like, it is Charlie and it's Payman at the same time.
Oh, at the end,
so-
It's
Yeah.
Charlie using Peter's body, but
Also Payman.
yeah, controlled by, or what? Like, I don't know how to.
You got me, man.
I don't know.
So Peter's really fucked up from this. He's
Yeah,
like
understandably.
crying, and then he sees that light at school, and
Yeah.
this is when he sees his reflection being all weird and shit. He freaks out at school, and that means that Steven has to go get him, right? And so Steven calls Annie and is like, yeah, your son's having some issues, and I'm pissed. And she gets all pissed off and smashes everything in her room. Yep.
I know, I'm like, I can't imagine, like, putting that much work into something. Like, imagine all the time she spent on creating all that stuff and then just destroying it all.
And then Charlie starts drawing in her sketchbook. I don't remember what she was drawing. I can't remember.
Oh, there were the
Peter's
pictures of
head.
Peter with his eyes, like, crossed out.
Oh, okay.
Definitely
So-
like I'm going after Peter
Yeah.
message.
And this is also when what you were talking about, the ghost in the corner, her head falls off, but it's a ball,
Yeah.
which is just as creepy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, and then Annie tries to pull off Peter's head.
And I didn't know that was really
the wall was right there.
I don't think it was really happening. I think he was dreaming it.
But she was just standing in there while this is going on?
Well, she said that she heard him screaming and she came in. So I don't know what was real there. It didn't seem like it was real because you saw the hands like coming out from behind him and she couldn't have.
But there's a wall there, like,
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So I think it was a dream
Me too.
that he had.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain here, so... But Annie does tell Peter, don't say anything to your dad about this.
Because it's not true.
Yeah, there's some weird shit going on here, and I think I can handle it. I think I can solve it. She starts
she said
thinking...
she's the only one that can.
She starts thinking she's a medium.
Right.
She's not.
No.
I
So-
don't know if she really thought that or if she told him that because she was trying to explain why she could do that.
I mean, she probably is assuming, okay, if I'm being able to communicate with spirits, I must be a medium.
Yeah, maybe.
Nope. That's not it. So, that's when she decides that these things that she summoned aren't Charlie, they're demons, and she's like, I gotta throw this book in because I think I'm connected, and they're connected through this book. But her arm catches on fire, and so she has to pull it out, and that's when it gets stuck in her head that if she throws it in there, she'll catch on fire.
Right.
And that's exactly what Payman wants her to think.
Yep, so she pulls the book out and stomps out the fire, and the fire immediately goes off on her arm, so she knows that must be what happens when she throws that in the fire, but it ends up being a little different second time.
Yeah, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
So she goes to Joan's house for help, but Joan's not there.
Right,
But
but we
there's a
see what's inside.
Crazy shit in there. Like, there's pictures of... I'm trying to think. Whoa, it's right here.
There's a guy in a wedding dress.
Yeah.
There's Peter.
Peter
with,
inside
his
a triangle.
eyes out.
Mm-hmm. A symbol Annie recognized from family photos. Oh, that's the Payman symbol. Okay, he is one of the kings of hell, and then Annie finds photos of Joan with Ellen, which were right there all along, and she could have very easily looked at them.
Yeah.
So, again, like, they could have figured this out really quick and just been like, maybe we should move to, like, New York City, where there's people, and get away from these fucks.
Yeah, I feel like she should have been a lot more suspicious of Joan from the beginning.
You meet somebody, they give you your phone number, all that happens is you have one conversation, and then she's like, I gotta talk to the dead! No.
Yeah.
No. Let's see.
And her mother was like a queen of some sort of this
Queen
cult.
Leah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Joan was second in command, so when her mother died, Joan had to take over and do all this shit.
Yeah.
And this is when Joan goes to the school and starts screaming at Peter to get out of his own body and yelling all kinds of weird spell words at him. And the next thing you know, that freaking, there's clicking all around, and Peter's body just gets taken over and he slams his own head into the desk, which, ugh.
Yeah.
The fact that this demon is like gonna walk into a room full of people and possess somebody right in front of everybody is fucking scary.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what time it is, who's around, he doesn't care. So, Steven has to go pick him up, but while Steven's picking him up, Annie's like going up to the attic, finds her headless mom up there.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gross. So, they get home, and Annie's like, go up there, there's a dead body up there, and there's a lot more than that, too. Meanwhile, Peter's put in bed. Like, go to sleep, man, because he's got a broken nose, and
Steve isn't taking her seriously at all. Like, he's like, oh, there's more than your mom's headless body up there? Sure, of course there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the disbelieving husband doing.
So, how did the cult get a dead body into their house, into the attic, with no one noticing?
And they're all working during the day?
Theory. She did it while sleepwalking.
It's possible. They might have...
She dug up the grave, though.
Or
I mean,
dug-
even her
they dug
husband
it up.
accused her of that.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
It's either they dug it up and she took the body, or they dug, or something, but yeah, I think
they
she
could have
put
had
it
her
there.
possessed and doing it, and she didn't know what she was doing and didn't even realize she did it.
She could be possessed when she's sleepwalking.
Yeah.
That could be why she's sleepwalking.
That's what I thought. I thought, like, maybe that's even why she did, like, the things she did in the past, like, with the paint thinner and stuff. But I don't know. But probably not with that, because, like, they need somebody to be alive to be possessed by.
What the hell? Annie stands in the pouring rain below the treehouse with Ellen's scrapbook, and we see that Peter's room behind her in the real house does not exist. I don't remember that. You're watching that later. So Annie lays out what she thinks is going on, which is pretty close. She's like, my mom was a cult leader, and they're trying to bring a demon, and they're going to use it to attack Peter, and we got to destroy this book. And Steve's like, oh, you dug up your mom's grave, huh? What? So, even though that just is going exactly with what I just said. But, so, Annie tells Steve that he has to throw the book in. I don't know where she came up with this rule
Well,
at.
I think she said she just couldn't do it herself.
Oh.
She was
She didn't want to
like,
set
I
herself
have to
on
do
fire.
this, but, like, you've got to do it for me, okay? Like, I can't bring myself to do it, but this is what we have to do to end this. Like, she thought she would burst into flames and die, but she couldn't, like, bring herself to, like, make it happen herself, so she wanted him to throw it in.
But it was all a trick
Yeah.
to get Steve killed, because he's useless. This whole thing, he's just kind of useless.
Yeah, like he wouldn't throw it in just because he's like, I don't want to play along with your stuff anymore.
He's probably worried that, like, you know, if I do this and she dies, I don't want that. Like,
yeah.
there's gotta be another way, man.
I mean, he acts like he doesn't believe any of this stuff, but maybe subconsciously he is like, yeah, I don't want to be responsible for that. But then she just grabs it and she throws it in, and then he bursts into flames.
And she's done. She's not herself for the rest of the movie. After that, she gets possessed, and real creepy shit starts happening.
Oh, yeah. It's just pure creepiness after that.
God. When I saw it in theaters, I don't remember seeing her in the corner.
I saw it the first time, and that is what freaked me out.
Yeah,
like, I still think about that. Because it's like you're watching him, like, in his bed, like, getting up, and then you look up and you see her. You can barely see her up there. But she's there in the corner, and then, like, eventually you see her floating out of the room, like, without him knowing. Oh, it's so creepy.
But Payman has the ability to do things like fly. So clearly this is Payman doing this.
And at first I thought the mother was dead at that point, you know, because, I mean, how's she floating up there? But no, I think she was still alive. She was just possessed by Payman.
Yeah, she couldn't control anything.
Yeah.
So Peter goes downstairs and finds his dead dad on the floor. And that's when he knows somebody's in the room with him. He gets that feeling like he does that slow turn, like he knows somebody's there.
Right, yeah, there.
Ugh. And then she comes running out.
Yeah.
Starts banging her head on the ceiling upside down.
And I think it was before that we see the naked guy behind him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There's just some random nude dude from the beginning that was at the funeral.
Smiling like he was at the funeral.
Oh, God.
He's so creepy too.
Do you have to be naked for this?
Apparently it's part of the ritual.
I wish not, man.
It definitely adds to the creepiness.
It does. So Peter goes upstairs and finds just, you know, candles and
symbols.
I don't know if they're planning on possessing him up there, or if they're hoping he makes his way to outside, or what.
Right, yeah.
But then
more naked people.
Yep. And he's getting dripped on, and he looks up, and his mom's sawing her own head off.
Yep. Because you gotta have that extra head to sacrifice.
You need 3.
For Payman.
Hey, I'm Batman too.
When he jumps out the window, you hear thud. That's the head hitting the floor. Oh man, that's so cool.
It is.
So by him jumping out the window and dying, now there's a body for Payman to possess.
Right.
And I don't know if it's spooky or funny to see a headless corpse floating up into a treehouse. I thought it was hilarious. Because everything had been so fucking crazy up to that point. Seeing a headless corpse floating on its own is just kind of like ridiculous.
I mean, I didn't like laugh at it, but it didn't like freak me out either. It was, I don't know. I think it was still.
There's a lot of movies that are so fucking extreme that they'll try to top the extremeness that they just had, and when that happens, that's when I just start laughing. Like, I can't anymore. I don't know if it's actually funny. It's more like just a reaction. And then in theaters, everybody's like, and I'm like.
And you said when you went to see it in theaters, you actually left, right?
We were both there. Yeah, I wanted to leave when she was crying. I was like, that's the most intense thing I've ever seen in a movie. I can't handle it. I'm like, it's going to get more intense? Yeah. Not emotionally, but like everything else.
Right, yeah.
So Peter goes up and finds decapitated corpses and his sister's head on a doll and naked people, but he's not him anymore. He's Payman, so he's just kind of like, cool. And that's when they call him Charlie and Payman.
Right, yeah.
Movie ends with one of those, what are they called? A model tree house with everybody in there like that, and that's the end of the movie. He's Payman now, so cool, good.
Yeah.
End of the world. So, M gave it an 8, right?
I gave it an 8. It's great.
It 8 for great. That's right.
See, I have never given a movie a 10, but I don't know how to not give it a 10. I can't think of any negatives to this movie. So, it is the scariest movie I have ever seen. Oh, wow. It's amazing to me to have a modern horror movie that is at that level, because no other ones are. All my favorite horror movies are a lot older, you know? This one is just so good. It is like the most intense movie. There are so many memorable, frightening moments. and it's not just like the normal horror, it's like the psychological grief horror, you know, like there's just so much that goes into it, and it's so complex, and like everything about it is so well done. Ari Aster, I think, is amazing. I'm just so excited to see what else he does in the future, like, because he's only done this in Midsommar so far, and I love both of them. So yeah, 10.
I would have given it a 10. I had like 2 complaints I remember telling you about. I can't remember exactly what they were. It's basically almost perfect. It's an I think emotional horror is right.
Yeah, emotional.
Like, the scariest movies up to this point are things that, like, shook me physically or, like, would jump in a way that was, damn. They're outside.
It sounded like it was in here.
It would make me jump in a way that I'm not used to, or something like that. Or there would be, like, all these unexpected twists and turns. This was just straightforward, like, just beating you over the head with emotional stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it like would sometimes physically hurt to watch, and I loved it. I fucking loved it, and I wish I could remember the 2 tiny complaints that I had. That's a different movie.
Oh, okay.
All right, 10.
But you did have like a slight thing that you said that like having it all be like predetermined kind of like took away
9.
from.
Yeah,
Really?
what the hell? Come on.
That takes it down a whole point.
You shouldn't use that as okay. I'll try to be a little bit of a critique here. You shouldn't, when you make it so that things are controlling everything, you shouldn't make it so that you can literally get away with anything. There are some things that, like I said, when he's driving home on that road, if he had swerved the other direction, their entire plan is fucked, and they got to start all over.
Right.
They need him to swerve at the right speed, at the right angle, with her head out the window at the right time. So unless they're physically controlling them, which I don't think they are, that could have messed up their plan. So I had to give it a 9 instead of a 10.
I can understand that critique, but also in a way it makes it a little extra scary to me, because it's like there's nothing they could do. It was just totally out of their control, no matter what they did.
Okay, yeah, there is one thing. There's one thing I don't like. The foreshadowing. It was too much. Too much. They're cutting the heads off birds. They're chopping a plate full of nuts this fucking big. After being like, does that have nuts in it? I don't know. Well, you know she can't eat nuts. Well, we got the EpiPen, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's nuts in it. Nuts. So.
But I mean, I feel like even that stuff was intentional, because like they talk about in the classroom when they're talking about that play that they were talking about, they're talking about things being right in front of people's faces and not noticing it. So it's like, I feel like that was on purpose there.
You know what other movie did that?
What?
Halloween.
Yeah.
The best horror movie ever. I'm just kidding.
I like Halloween.
Halloween's fine. 9. I'll give it a 9. I probably should give it a 10, but I just want to be, what's that called? Argumentative?
Okay.
Really, I feel like it's a 10, but I keep giving movies 10s, and eventually it's going to be like, and you like everything, John? Wait till you see what I give the next movie.
See, I'm always like, but there's room for improvement. But with this one, I'm just
What
like,
can you
I gotta
do?
give it a 10. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yep. All right. If you want to get oh my God, Em.
Yes.
All right. If you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com/justanotherhorrorpodcast.
Instagram is just a horror pod.
Twitter at just horror pod.
All right. I didn't know, so. Oh man.
Can you do your ending?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube. Subscribe, like the show, rate and review it on the other platforms.
Give us some comments. What did you think of the movie?
Yeah. Like, someone actually did that this time. So cool. Keep that up. Keep doing that.
Yeah,
All right.
do that.
Yeah. Hey.
Thrill me.
All right.